Right, I think we got there and we are live. Hi everyone, I just want to check on my Facebook if we're actually going live, but it should be okay. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, it's working, Rachel. All right, so my name's Julia. I'm the face behind Single Mother Survival Guide. Hi everybody. And I'm just here today to have a little bit of a chat with Rachel Natoli, who is a single mum I met through my local single mums group. And she's got two 4-year-old twins, and she became a single mum about 2 years ago, isn't it, Rachel?
Yeah, just over.
Just over 2 years ago. So hi, Rachel. Thank you for chatting with me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. If anybody's watching, can you please give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, because I'm a little bit unsure if this is working all right, but anyway, we shall carry on. So what I wanted to talk today is the City to Surf. So if you live in Sydney, Australia, you probably know what it is, but if you don't, it's basically a 14-kilometre run from the Sydney CBD to Sydney's iconic Bondi Beach. So I haven't done it for quite a few years now, and I decided that this year I wanted to do it as part of the Single Mother Survival Guide, and in the process raise money for a really great cause. And that's where Rachel comes in, because she has started a charity called the Lokahi Foundation, which helps domestic violence victims. And this came out of her own experience with domestic violence. So we're just going to have a little chat about it. So Rachel, why don't you start by telling me a bit about the Lokahi Foundation and what you do?
So the Lokahi Foundation aim to empower and enable women to reclaim their lives. And they've been through domestic and family violence. And basically what we do is we will help survivors of domestic and family violence. So we will help victims, but only once they're in the process of leaving, because that's when they obviously need the most help, once they've left. And we look at how we can help them to rebuild their lives physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially, to help them get back on track. And we do that through the provision of a consistent caseworker. And what we mean by that is that you will have one caseworker who supports you for an ongoing amount of time. There's no limit to our support, which there is with most other organisations and charities. If you need us to support you for 5 years, then we will be there for 5 years. And we know from experience that, you know, the most help is required, the most support is required in that first 3 to 6 month period. And then they don't need as much help and support, but we will still be there, because once you've gone through that crisis phase, which is the first 3 months, you move on to the resettling phase and rebuilding your life. And that's when you also need support to work out where you're at and where you want to go to be able to provide for your family. Maybe you need to train, maybe you want to go back to work, maybe you want to be a stay-at-home mum for a bit longer, and you want to work out what financial entitlements you can get from the government, and we will support you through that process until you don't need us anymore. And we also provide support no matter where you live. So we will be based in the eastern suburbs, and as long as you're based in the eastern suburbs when you leave, then we are happy for you to become a client as such. But most of the charities and organisations that exist at the moment, if you have to leave the eastern suburbs, which a lot of people do for financial reasons, for affordability reasons, they won't be able to support you anymore. They can only support you while you are based in that area. Lokahi won't do that. If you are in that area when you leave, we will support you no matter where you leave to.
I think it's amazing. Like, it's great to know that someone's... Oh, sorry. Are you still there? Sorry, I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's so great to know that if you get a caseworker from the Lokahi Foundation, like it's so good that you've got someone who's got your back, someone that you can lean on, someone who knows what you're going through to ask any questions, and that it's not going to end, like you said, like to have that ongoing support is so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was really lucky. When I left, I was referred from the domestic violence line to a local organisation, and I had a caseworker from there, and she was fantastic. The reason that I decided to set up Lokahi, because if I had not had Rhiannon, I wouldn't have stayed out of the situation that I was in. I would have gone back, because the things that happened in that first month were so horrendous that life would have been easier to stay back with him. And so I thought, if everybody that left the domestic and family violence situation had a Rhiannon, they just might not go back again. And we know that average people leave 5 to 7 times before they leave for good, if they ever get to that stage. So I wanted everybody to have the opportunity to have so much they felt like they could really stay away for good and rebuild their lives.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Like it's so good that you had that, and that's what you provide. So that's pretty much how the Lokahi Foundation came about.
Yeah, that's basically how it came about. I spoke to Rhiannon about it after, a few months, once I'd resettled, and said, if I didn't have you, I wouldn't have stayed away, and I want everybody to have someone like you, and I'm going to start a charity that just focuses on case management, because there's quite a few charities and organisations around, and Denise is other, that provide case management, but they don't focus solely on that. And unfortunately, what happens is the funding then gets split. And, we have part-time caseworkers, and it makes it difficult for them to fully support. And as I said, it's time limited, and that's because of money. But we decided we just didn't want to do that. We wanted to have that ongoing support, like they always had the same person to go to. And I had that from Rhiannon. So when I moved out of the area that I was living in, she was officially no longer able to provide me with support. But by then I'd developed a good enough relationship with her that she actually offered that on a more of a friendship basis. She's always been there. I still speak to her every month or so. She'll still check in and make sure I'm okay. We've become very good friends now, but that's not the idea. The idea is not that you develop a friendship with your caseworker, but that that they're always going to be there to support you, even if it is 5 years down the track and something happens and you need to ask them about a question because you're going to be going to court, or something else has happened with Centrelink, or whatever it may be. We just want you to know we'll always be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your own experience with domestic violence?
No, not at all. So I was in a domestic violence relationship for just over 7.5 years. And it started off with emotional abuse, but it was completely physical. And I don't talk so much about the physical, only because he was physical in a smart way. So I never had a black eye, but he would throw things at me, and he was physically intimidating. I was often covered in bruises on my arms, but that was easy for me to cover up. But it ended up where he was sexually abusive, and by that I mean he withheld sex. So he didn't ever rape me. He would withhold sex as a form of punishment, and he was financially abusive to the point that I had to declare bankrupt.
And I think that's what a lot of people sort of, when they think of domestic violence, they immediately think of, the physical. But it's really great that there's more awareness now about emotional abuse and sexual abuse and financial abuse. So
yeah, absolutely. I think we try really hard to advocate that yes, domestic violence can be and often is physical abuse, and that is totally unacceptable. But deeper than that, there are the other forms of abuse, and there are many, many women, especially in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, that are being emotionally abused or financially abused. And they don't even recognise it as a form of abuse because they're so used to it and because it's not spoken about. And now now they're starting to say, you know what, actually, that's financial abuse, that's emotional abuse, and I don't want to be in that relationship anymore.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you've come on an episode of the Single Mother Survival Guide podcast, and I will put the link for that episode in the comments below when we finished, because we go into a lot of detail about what happened. But if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, I know that for women in a domestic violent relationship, in an abusive relationship, the thought of leaving their partner is extremely difficult, and having to make that decision when you have children would just be terrifying. How did you overcome that fear, and how did you actually leave in the end?
Well, I was actually separated from David when I was pregnant, so I was stupid enough, or too reliable on him, that I went back when I was.
Well, it's not stupid though, because like you said, it happens like 7 times, and you're hoping for change. It's such a messed up situation.
Yeah, when I was pregnant, I wanted my children to grow up in that traditional family environment, and I just hoped that he had changed and it would all be okay. And of course it wasn't. He, as I speak about in the podcast, he didn't even pick us up from hospital. He disappeared and went AWOL for 2 days after the twins were born, while I was still in hospital. He only called me every day to abuse me and tell me that I needed to put more money on him to carry on gambling. But I think what happened is a certain amount of time, and I didn't set a time limit, but things just went on, and every day was just about surviving as a mum of twins. And I was living with him, but I was a single mum effectively from day one. He didn't financially support us. He didn't ever change a nappy. He never helped with anything. If we were going out, 4 of us together, he would literally walk downstairs and get in the car, and I would have to bring both babies down and strap them in the car and put the pram in. He just didn't help with anything. But I left in April 2015, and there'd been an incident a few months before in the February, and he was physical then and emotionally abusive, and there was a lot of financial abuse at that time. And he was gambling very heavily, and I was almost at the point where I was ready to leave, and that's when I first spoke to Rhiannon, but I just wasn't at that stage yet. And what I say to everybody is, every incident that happens, every friend that you lose along the way, or every friend that supports you, every single thing that happens is just a stepping stone to getting to where you need to be. And in April, there was one final incident where he was quite physically abusive, and he pulled my hair out by dragging me around the boys' room by my hair. And I sat in front of our mirrored wardrobes that night, and my hair came out in clumps where he had dragged me around. And I thought, you have to leave, because if he hurts you so much that he kills you, who's going to look after those little boys? Who is going to take care of them? Because I couldn't think of anything worse than him being responsible for them. And that's what drove me to leave. So as much as them being, having children had made me stay, they're things that actually made me leave. Because you get to a point where you just don't value yourself enough. They undermine you and beat you down enough that yourself anymore. But my love for them was what made me think that we needed to get out. We deserved a better life than that. And I didn't want 2 boys that grew up thinking that it was acceptable to treat a woman in that way, or that any woman would tolerate that kind of behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really hard thing to do, and that's why it's so great to have an organisation like the Lokahi Foundation to help women with that, and just to sort of know how to get the ball rolling, because it's not always a safe thing to just get up and leave. You really have to plan these things out.
No, and they say, the most dangerous time for women is when they leave, and just after they've left a domestic and family violence relationship.
Yeah. How's the contact now with your ex, and what does that sort of co-parenting relationship look like?
Actually, I have a very good relationship with my ex-husband now. It's very unusual in this kind of situation, but I am a huge believer in forgiveness, and I just felt like I'll never forget what he did to me, but what happened was between him and I didn't want my children to grow up with parents that hated each other. So for quite a while, he had two children, but he now has them every other weekend for one overnight, and that will gradually increase to two overnight. And we're actually going as a family of four in a couple of weeks just for 2 nights. And we're not, it's not something that I wanted to do. It's not something I'm particularly looking forward to, but I needed to be there to help him, to help support him with the boys, and I needed to be there for the boys. So,
Yeah.
Again, I'm willing to do that for them. But no, we have a fairly civil relationship, but it's important to remember that he is a domestic violence perpetrator and that he will still try and control situations. So the other day, for example, he offered to pay some proviso, and I had to make it clear that if he chose to pay for that thing, that was entirely up to him, but that I'm not making deals with him anymore. He's not my partner. He's not my husband. And that, we co-parent. And if that works, then that's fine, but he will not have any control over me anymore.
Yeah.
So, they still slip back to their old ways, and things are civil while he's happy and things are going his way. As soon as things change and he doesn't like what's going on, things are not so civil. So it's just important to maintain your boundaries and know that they do try and, they do try and go back to their old behavior. They're used to controlling you and they do want to regain that control. That means minimal contact, and that's probably the safest way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's amazing that you've got to the point where you can do that now. But yeah, it won't work for everybody, but that's incredible.
No,
I think it's amazing what you've done. You've come out of this horrific abusive relationship, this horrific experience that no one should have to go through, and you've really, doing something really good out of it, and you're helping other women who've gone through the same thing, and I think that's amazing. Let's move on to the City to Surf. Basically, guys, if you're listening, we would love your support. So if you're in Sydney, we would love for you to join our team and do the run with us. But I should point out we're not actually running it. We're going to walk it because we're not... Pardon?
Do the walk with us.
Do the walk with us, yes. So if you want to join our team, I will put the link so that you can join our team directly below. I'll put that link in the comments, and we will be starting in the, what is it called? The Westpac Yellow Starter Group or something like that.
Yeah, 905, isn't it? It's the group that aren't running, or that I think it says that we're supposed to jog, but it's basically because I was told that we shouldn't start in the greens group because there's just too many crowds and it's just too hard to get started. So we will be walking at the back of the yellow group.
Yeah, so it's the group right before the back of the pack. And you can even join our team, but you don't have to run with us or walk with us if you don't want to. You can do the back of the pack, or you can even, if you're an amazing runner, like go in the front group and you can still be a part of our team. But so do you want to I'll put that link in the, I thought I was talking on a podcast for a minute. I was about to say, I'll put that link in the show notes. I'll put that link in the comments after this. And Rachel, do you want to just explain how the fundraising works?
Yeah, so basically what I was going to say is you need to join our team by the 28th of July. And the reason for that is because we need to order some awesome t-shirts for our team. So we just want a couple of weeks to get that sorted out. And if you're not going to join us because you can't make it or you don't think you're fit enough, I mean, we are walking. We're not running. We are walking at a fairly slow pace. So,
And it's only 14 Ks. It's not that bad.
no, it's not that much. But if you really can't make it or you really don't want to do it, then please sponsor us. Please donate to the cause. You know, every dollar that you donate to Lokahi is going to go directly to funding a caseworker. We don't have any admin staff. I don't get paid at the moment. We don't have any other staff. Yes, eventually we hope that we will be able to pay for things like paper and printing and all those exciting things that charities need. But right now, our main priority is getting the money banked so that we can start funding some caseworkers to help. So your money is going directly to funding. Every dollar that you give is going towards that. So we'd really, really appreciate it. If you can't join us, then please donate to us.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll put the link in the comments as well for the direct donation.
Absolutely.
And so if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments and Rachel or I can answer them for you after this. And there's just a comment there from Audrey who says, thank you for sharing, Rachel. Such an amazing woman and she's valued your support.
Thanks, Audrey. I appreciate that.
All right, well, that's it from us tonight. Rachel, thanks for joining me. And and we'll speak to you all next time and join our team.
Yeah, come and walk with us.
Yes, or come and meet us afterwards. We'll go and have a wine or something.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.